Meeting is called to order. The first item has to do with the agenda. Before I take a motion on that, I have a question. What does non-hearing consideration mean?
So basically what the non-hearing item is and what that refers to is typically with sign permits, staff has the ability to review and approve sign permits if they are meeting the criteria of the zoning ordinance. What the zoning ordinance is doing on this non-hearing item is basically transferring the administrative review from staff to the design review board. So in essence, whether it's basically taking that administrative review and taking it from staff and forwarding it to the DRB for a review. So it's a little bit different than the actual quasi judicial hearings that we tend to have on developments. The signs tend to be very focused and minor in respect to the overall kind of land and the development, whereas a development that, like whether it's the school or the hotel or other commercial projects, there's more of a development project that is larger and has more impacts oftentimes. So that's the distinguish, is that it's basically taking it from staff and giving it to the DRB in an administrative manner.
Okay. But can we assume then that
I have a question.
can we assume then that the staff approval that was issued for these two items is retracted?
No, you may not assume that. The wall signs are not reviewed by the design review board. Freestanding signs are reviewed by the DRB. So basically the ordinance reads, freestanding signs are subject to review by the design review board. The review shall be conducted as a non-hearing item. So that's what the board is reviewing today. You certainly can take the design of the wall signs into consideration as to how they fit well with the freestanding sign that's before you. But the freestanding sign is what's before you today, and staff reviewed and approved the wall signs that were proposed because they were meeting the ordinance, which we would do with any wall sign that was proposed to us.
Was there a precedent for splitting items off from a submittal?
I'm not sure what you're talking about, but they could submit a wall sign anytime or a freestanding sign anytime. They don't have to come in together.
The fact that they were submitted together, to me, means they should be reviewed together.
And that may be what you are led to believe, but that's not how the ordinance reads, and that's not the action that staff took or will take in the future.
Okay, well, I think maybe our attorney needs to comment on that.
That would be fine.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Did you have something, Harvey?
Oh, yes, I had more questions on this type of hearing. Should the application be denied, would the appeal process be the same for the applicant?
Yeah, basically it would be a little bit different from the standpoint when staff makes a determination. It typically goes to plan commission. Whereas in this case, because of design review is reviewing the proposal, it would be considered by council. Procedurally, it's very similar, the appeal. It's just who it goes to and when who's reviewing it. So when staff is reviewing items, an appeal is forwarded to the plan commission initially. And with design review board appeals, it goes to council.
So the appeal on a sign would come straight back to us, or is the planning commission somehow involved?
In this particular, if someone appealed the wall signs that were done administratively, it would go to plan commission. In this case, if the freestanding sign was to get denied, the applicant would have the ability to appeal that to council.
Okay,
So it would be the very same as any other, denial.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
It would be the same as any other denial.
That's correct.
Okay.
okay. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve this agenda of Monday, December 11th, 2023.
Second,
Second the motion.
okay, those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay. Consideration of the minutes for the October 19th and November 16th meetings. Before approving or asking for approval, I think there's a number of things that we would like to have revised in those minutes. That's the proper way to do it. Okay. Does anyone have a problem or correction for the part of the minutes dealing with the Surf Crest remodel? I do
Is that the October 19th?
on the October 19th.
You mean surf sand?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Surf Sand Resort. DRB 2310 and 2311. Okay. So then we get to the 2309 continuation with I guess I'll go first because most of my revisions are not very deep. On page 2, where it starts out with the CETA comments, the first word is Johnson recapped. I think you need to identify Johnson a little better. He's not listed above.
And that would be Dustin.
Dustin, yeah. Okay.
Who's he representing?
Page 3 of the minutes, near the bottom, Valagra informed the landscape architect that one of the plant types used is like Doritos. Might specify that that's the boxwood plant. I got by listening to the recording. And we'll go to page 4. Talks about Mr. Bash. He's identified, never mind. Okay. Then under the architectural design, where it says Doring was unable to go to an on-site visit, so he doesn't have many details, but he stated that he firmly supports the design. That's not what I said. I said I was fairly happy with the design. And then a number of places on this page and the following ones, the spelling of Quonset needs to be
Sounds good.
updated, revised. I guess that's it for me, but I know Harvey had things you thought should change.
I had a few others, yes.
It's your
Again,
turn.
on page, Can you, are you me?
Yes,
Are you, okay, on the same way with CETA, the names, we had I believe, another person present, and so the name of all the CETA people should probably be there. I missed the name of the landscape architect, in fact.
You're breaking up a bit. I'm having trouble understanding.
Okay, okay, yeah, and you guys are to me too. I'm wishing I had run over there regards. The, the, um, the names of all CETA people should be added to the list. So we, and their design architect was there. And in fact, I wanted to ask the question if we knew her name. She's only identified in the minutes as design architect.
landscape architect.
Landscape architect. Landscape architect. All right, so on page 3, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Can you hear me? All right, on page 3, the just a moment.
He's gone.
Well, I'll step in and just say that the only thing that I might add is on page. Where is it? 3. Huber stated that she doesn't like the project and where the story circle is. I don't believe that those were my words or my intent, and I would move or like to strike that.
I caught that too.
And then I don't know if we'll get Harvey back, but on page 5, Sokolowski explained to the board that the current fire chief has not signed off on the variance, and I heard Mr. Sokolowski say that the fire department did sign off, so.
Yeah.
I think it was Harvey that
Yes,
said that.
but I know that that was something that we wanted to
pick up.
put in there, and then I'm just not sure what this even means after the appeal has been ruled on, and the minutes before we approve them and amended were already part of the record, so. But at any rate.
Well,
That happens quite frequently.
It's there, you know.
a general comment that whoever did the minutes, I think did a remarkable job of sifting through that lengthy meeting and condensing it into 5 pages of notes. For the most part, it's very good. Was that you, Emily? Good. I went through the whole recording last night and I don't think I could have done this.
Yeah, she did a nice job.
Harvey, are you around? Are you coming back?
We have lost him.
I can add any changes that he has. If he
Okay.
Wants to contact me.
Well, I'm not sure we can have a meeting at the.
He's our third as far as to have a quorum, so we need
Yeah,
Harvey to get back online.
Maybe he's on his way.
that would be good,
Does
but
he live far?
I don't know where he lives.
Close.
He's in there.
Can we call for a break in the meeting?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so
We're
sorry, everyone. I'm so sorry.
Okay, so we're looking at the minutes And Harvey was midstream explaining some things he wanted to change.
I'm gonna simplify some of this. Get up a little bit.
Okay,
Okay. In page 3, Clausen asked about the parking area. Clausen asked about adding a parking area for the food bank west of the food bank. And Johnson replied that they were trying to save trees. Gonna close the loop on that. And under Bruce, is it, you say Saint Denis or Saint Denis?
Can be either, but most people call it St. Kevin.
I think in this case, I think Bruce, you were the project manager. And not as opposed to the city manager.
I am the project manager for the city on this project.
Simultaneously, anyway, I think it should be, we should identify that that's what we're dealing with, yeah. Here where it says, During feels like he is saturated with information. That, I don't know, do we follow Robert's Rules of Order and minutes, try to? That's a side comment, not associated with any motion. Probably those kind of things, just in general, should be, there are a number of them in here. I'll just cite that one. Those things should be skipped.
well, I did say that.
You did say that, but I don't think you have to, the minutes do not have to record, the minutes don't have to record anything except motions. And side comments generally under Robert's rules are omitted. Yeah, oh yeah, we say lots of things. And that's what I'm saying. Yes, I see lots of things.
There, Dave, or not?
I saw something I said, something Michelle said.
You can
It's like,
take it out,
yeah.
but it was
Yeah.
my response to
Of
a
course.
question somebody asked.
but you couldn't tell. There was no context to that.
The question is there, so you might as well take the answer out.
Quite often these things show up and it's like, are we just randomly casting around or do we know what we're doing? So anyway,
What's the answer to that?
well, hopefully we try to know what we're doing. In spite of everyone's best efforts, we try to know what we're doing. Okay, and the matter of these arches, I think because it became an issue in the council's hearing, it should be cleared up. Clausen inquired about possible rotting water damage with the arches, as earlier reported by Johnson. In the previous meeting, he had told us that. And then, pardon?
What page are you on?
I'm on page 4, sorry. Top of page 4, architectural design was discussed. Just under that.
Okay,
So
yep.
Clausen inquired about the arches. And so earlier reported by Johnson, the damage to the arches earlier reported by Johnson. Clausen had inspected the arches and found none of the reported damage. And so Johnson cleared that up. So I think that was, yeah, again, it sounds like it was kind of an aimless question, but he had reported it earlier, and he did try to explain that the other night. He had reported it earlier, and I had been concerned, and so I examined them myself and found no damage. And again, Quonset throughout. And then I think again, and under Clausen asked if there are ways of making the Quonset hut prettier. The last sentence, Clausen wanted to know if the team had examined how much money the city would save if the Quonset hut was eliminated. I was checking to see how thorough they had been. So, and I specified that did you study that? We could go on to say that Johnson said they had not, but that's all right. And Quonset on that page. Okay, let's go to page 5. Yeah, I think, probably where they say the top there, where they say Deb, probably should make it consistent with everything else. It was Atia asked. Again, we see this crop up quite often. Clausen wants to know. I mean, Clausen asked, Clausen inquired. It's that kind of language sort of suggests that we're just kind of wondering about something. We really are examining things, and I see that. I'm not the only one that has that kind of language around their questions. I think we should, that's something we should watch out for. Okay, so motions. I think in general, we're going to have to be a lot more careful how we make our motions and get them read back to us so that we know what's so we really have a motion here. And I think that applies to every one of them that I see here. But if we could, if possible, Duber moved to deny the landscape plan based on difficult maintenance. And I think, I mean, we did a lot of talking around it, but the critical thing that never changed was difficult maintenance.
And that's what the findings have in them. And that's what the findings have in them that you've adopted. I think, but you know, if there's motions, we can, if people want to say, hey, here's why, we can try to get that included.
I have questions about findings too, but we'll go on with the minutes. And I'm not sure where one of the members votes nay, that's been omitted here. Shouldn't we say what the member that voted nay, that even though
Yes.
sort of by difference, I think make it complete, I think we should do that. Okay. Yes. It says Clausen believes, and that it was part of the meeting. Clausen stated that the DRB has purview based on the increased height and materials changes. But it wasn't just random. We based it on the fact that the height was already excessively high, and it was increasing somewhat. And then the materials change is critical, and that it will be more visible. Okay, so the architectural plan, Clausen moved to deny the architectural plan based on increased visibility. And then where Valagura abstained, I think that could be omitted, because the real place to put that in the minutes is that Valagura abstained under the vote. We had a motion and Duber seconded it. You don't need to record anything before it is seconded. And then again, during voted nay. This final motion on the site plan, and did deny the site plan. Clausen made the motion to deny the site plan. Those are my biggest changes that I have.
Okay. One more?
Joe?
Thought I had one more, David. I'm good, thanks.
Okay, well, do I have a motion to approve the amended October 19th meeting?
I'll move to approve the amended minutes of the October 19th meeting.
Second.
In favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Well, minutes of the November 16th Design Review Board meeting. Does anybody have any requirements to change? I don't think I have those. Oh, okay, I do have those. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the November 16th meeting?
I move we approve the minutes of the meeting.
A second.
Those in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So. Bring us to the non-hearing consideration of freestanding signage application from Darwin Turner on behalf of House of Orange Gallery at 107 Sunset Boulevard. Application will be reviewed against the criteria of Municipal Code Chapter 7 and review criteria. We have a staff report.
Good evening. The applicant requests design review for the replacement of existing freestanding signage in the limited commercial zone at 107 Sunset Boulevard. The location of the requested signage is an existing standalone commercial building. 2 freestanding signs are requested. The first will be on Sunset Boulevard frontage, measure 46 by 28 inches. The second will be on the Hemlock Street frontage and measure 47 by 28.5 inches. The locations of the proposed signage have previously been used by the Miska Gallery. This application included a building mounted sign on the Sunset Boulevard frontage measuring 44 by 37 inches in the same location as the signage used by Miska Gallery. As building mounted signage is not subject to review by the Design Review Board, the Community Development Department completed an administrative review and issued sign permit 2307 and for the building mounted signage on November 14th, 2023. Moving into the approval criteria. These approval criteria are found in Chapter 1756 of the Municipal Code, which is the sign code. The first is regulations, generally sign face area. The staff comment is that the area of the sign facing Sunset Boulevard measures 46 by 28 inches or approximately 8.9 square feet. And the sign facing South Hemlock Street measures 47 by 28.5 inches or approximately 9.3 square feet. Both signs will be one-sided and neither sign is enclosed in a frame or cabinet. The total square footage of freestanding signage will be approximately 18.2 square feet, less than the 24 square foot maximum allowed by Municipal Code 1756-040A1A. Moving into 1756-030B regulations. Generally, height of signs. The staff comment is that based on the application materials, the maximum height of both freestanding signs will not exceed 4 feet in height above the existing grade. Moving into item F, regulations generally, sign lettering. The staff comment is that application materials state the largest letter height will be 6 inches. Moving into item J2, regulations generally, materials. Application materials state that the signs will be constructed from 1/2 inch wood paneling that would be painted with a white background. The signs would then have a blue and orange logo and blue lettering. The proposed signage does not use alternative materials such as plastics and make use of restricted colors. Moving into A1A regulations for the base zones, C1, C2, and RM zone sign requirements. According to Clatsop County Assessor's records, The structure at 107 Sunset Boulevard has a northern facade of 47 feet and a western facade of 71 feet. This allows for a maximum sign area of 36 square feet, with 24 of those applying to freestanding signage. The total sign area, including the approximately 11.3 square foot sign that was administratively approved through a separate review, would be approximately 29.5 square feet. And moving into regulations for the base zone for freestanding signs. The proposed signage will be the only freestanding sign on each site frontage. As this is a corner lot with 2 street frontages, 1 freestanding sign per frontage is permissible. And that concludes the staff report.
Thank you. Any additional presentation by the applicant? No? Okay. Any comment from any of us?
I don't understand what the attached to the building. I couldn't find that anywhere, like attached to the building that we don't have anything to say about it.
Right.
I looked and looked, I couldn't find it. I don't know where, like,
As far as the specifics, as far as something that says design review board doesn't approve those?
yeah.
Okay, so with freestanding signs, there's a specific section. Yeah, it's here 1756-030. That says freestanding signs are subject to review by the design review board. And the review board conducted as that non-hearing item that we talked about. And then the other aspect, I don't know where it is right offhand. I don't know, Robert, if you remember, but it has to do with other colors and materials that would not meet the requirements. Then it gets sent.
That would be in 56030J.
Piece of paper.
And so in that particular instance, signs shall be constructed of wood or have wood exterior or be painted or etched on a window or be part of an
Yeah.
awning. Signs consisting of other materials must be approved by the design review board. So if it meets those requirements, staff can administratively approve signs. The only time a wall sign would come to the design review board is if it's using materials other than those that are permitted.
Yeah, but I thought that, okay, I thought they were saying that we don't have any, if that if it's on a wall, that it doesn't come to us, but you're saying if there's no variances.
Yeah, it would,
Okay.
if from a material standpoint that's quoted, if it's not meeting that, then it needs to come to you guys.
Yeah, so, but I have a problem with the fact that I feel like these colors are actually in our purview. I do feel like these colors are hot / day glow, and I have a problem with it not coming to us.
That's not how the code's written, so none of those will be coming to you if we think administratively.
I'm reading signs containing luminescent, fluorescent, or phosphorescent paints or paper. This includes paint referred to as day glow, hot, or neon.
Right,
And I find these I find these colors that are on the wall as hot or day glow.
yeah, that's.
I mean, but
staff's interpretation.
But
That's not staff's interpretation.
isn't that our interpretation though?
It may be.
So wouldn't it come to us like? So I'm just trying to understand that. A staff member that was not appointed to make the decision of the face of how the businesses look. I feel like it's our job.
And that may be what you think. I'm just doing what the code says.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to argue.
I'm not trying to argue either. I'm just trying to tell you that if we believe that something's meeting the requirements, we're gonna act on it.
Yeah, I understand that.
And even if we agree to disagree, then someone would have to appeal an approval of a sign permit that staff approved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
The DRB.
I want to just,
A citizen can.
I don't understand, like, you wouldn't want to just like make it easier on yourselves and go like, hey, I'm not a color expert. Maybe I'll give it to the people that are.
I guess what I'm saying is the code gives us the authority to make those decisions. And in this particular case, staff will be making those decisions.
Okay,
I guess what she's also seems to be saying is that we're questioning some of those decisions.
Right.
And so where does that go?
That goes to this discussion.
yeah,
That's it,
okay.
unless a person appeals it.
I guess the council, right? We're
I don't know. This is what's written and a person in my seat is here to make these determinations. And Robert, and that's what the administration is. The way that that could change is if the zoning ordinance was amended to say something to that effect. But until that time, this is how staff would proceed with these applications.
So do you ask for the Pantone colors to be used on the sign?
We look at what the applicants give us in terms of the colors and make a determination from there.
So you don't require them to submit Pantone colors to you?
What's a
That's-
Pantone?
Yeah, if you want to explain to everyone with, Pantone colors, that might be helpful.
There's sort of one standard for colors pretty much around the world. That's Pantone.
Okay.
So it's if you're working with something where colors are mentioned in our code, the easiest way to do it is to have a list of unapproved Pantone colors, and then you don't, if you're colorblind, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, everybody's monitor is different, everybody, so maybe you got a printout and it's called a color call out. So usually people say, oh, it's OG-1892, so you know exactly what this color is.
Gotcha.
So you guys are just kind of guessing, maybe because they didn't give you a color call out. So, I mean, to me, color is really important, and I've had a career in like matching
Sure.
color. So,
May I address the color that we're talking about here?
sure.
I need to come up.
Oh, sorry, I think that's Dave's job. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
yes, you may address.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Darwin Turner. Brady, Cannon Beach Design Company. And this is, and a good point, the Pantone, would probably be a good way to go. It's not required in the permit process or mentioned, but that's probably a good way to go. What we went by is, no day glow, fluorescent, that type of stuff.
Or hot.
And so we're definitely not in that. Orange is a secondary color. And so it's not, it's a secondary color.
I mean, it depends on what kind of orange, though.
Yeah, if it's not day glow or fluorescent and right now that's the criteria.
Yeah,
And so we're not going, we're not doing that.
I'm not necessarily even talking about the orange. I think the blue is a pretty hot color too.
It's navy blue.
You see, and that's when we got the surf sands, they gave us color call outs. And I saw it and I was like, oh, this is hideous. And then I looked it up and I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
cool. So I know that we're not supposed to be, but I'm just saying like, it's kind of willy-nilly to
Yeah,
you guys. And like, I don't even,
Future, I'm more than happy to put the Pantone colors on there.
yeah,
Your blue looks
Well, no,
particularly day glow. It matches up with the day glow color perfectly.
it does.
on monitor, yeah, things are a lot brighter.
Okay.
So you really, yeah, that can be a little
I mean, I did, okay, so I made a
So,
day glow, oops.
yeah, but day glow is an actual type of paint that's very.
Yeah, and it's
very
also,
bright, very fluorescent.
it's also like a button on Procreate. So there's day glows used for a lot of different things and hot. So I actually matched it but I can't tell because it's a monitor, but I know we're not even supposed to be talking about it.
You really can't.
Yeah, like, so as I said, the surf sand thing was,
Yeah, that's a great idea.
but that I feel like they're just been in this position. They're like, oh, whatever, like,
Well,
it's not, I'm not trying, I didn't mean it like the way that it came out,
I
but
think it's just the code has, doesn't mention, that, they kind of go by, I'm thinking they're maybe going by, someone that designed when is, not using day glow and fluorescent and they're coming under the.
Yeah, I mean, these
So,
look like pretty hot colors to me. And I know we're not supposed to be talking about it, but it does seem like a weird, like,
yeah,
like-
they're not, so.
okay.
I mean, you can have my work on it.
I'll find you.
I can provide the Pantone, colors if you want.
Oh, we're not supposed to actually be talking about this because they already approved it, but that's what I was just saying. It seems like a weird process when like
They didn't approve the two freestanding
the
signs.
free, yeah, but I'm talking about the one that's actually, it looks like they're two different colors, the freestanding one and the,
Nope, same colors.
oh, wow, there you go.
Keep the consistency throughout.
Okay, they are the same color because it doesn't look like it on the,
Right. You got a bigger swatch of the orange there, so that probably pops.
okay.
So, yeah, not day glow, not fluorescent, navy blue and secondary orange, not.
I mean, you've seen, they look very, very, very different. These colors look, this looks like a bright orange and a bright blue, and this looks like a kind of burnt umber, and then,
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe it's showing up different.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what we got, and anyhow,
Would assume
did I talk too much? I'm sorry.
that orange is probably appropriate given the name of the place, but.
Yeah,
Need some type of orange for the.
We really slipped into procedural matters rather than,
Okay, does anybody have a motion about this?
Well, I'm questioning three signs. I'm trying to understand, where it says that a business shall have no more than one permanent sign other than a freestanding sign for each front or for the frontage. So
Correct. No business shall have more than one sign other than a freestanding sign. So one of these frontages will have one sign affixed to the building and one freestanding sign. That is compliant with the language you just read.
because I thought they wanted two freestanding signs.
On opposing frontages. This is a corner lot. One freestanding sign would face north, one freestanding sign would face west.
I thought they only got one for their frontage where they're,
Frontage,
yeah.
they have two frontages.
Fuck, I don't, is that frontage or is that just building,
That's
part of the
That
building?
is a frontage. A frontage.
Don't enter through there.
Right.
Right.
But it's a corner lot.
A frontage is a portion of the lot that faces a street. This site has two frontages.
Can you show me in the code where I can understand that a little bit better? Because I don't know that having three signs for one business seems like a lot. And the one on Hemlock just seems to not really serve much purpose. People driving by.
isn't there already one there?
Well, I'm not saying that whoever approved that read the code correctly. I mean, I just think three signs is excessive for one business.
I don't know how long Miska Gallery was there, but I personally don't remember Miska signs coming through DRB, and I've been on it for 6 years.
Yeah, I don't know what previous DRB, how they read. or
I thought they didn't have to get approval if they just put it in the exact same spot that it already was in. Am I incorrect?
I would say.
Yeah, they-
Maybe it could have been approved mistakenly without really reading, what I'm understanding and thinking the intent is that three signs for one business and the frontage is where you go in. So to have a sign and call where you don't go in as to be included, just, I think was misinterpreted. Would the applicant be willing to just have one freestanding sign? And amend the application?
I haven't approached them on that. The Columbia Bank that was there before, these are going.
I understand that. No,
3 signs on that.
important to know where your bank is, definitely.
I personally would like to continue it until we get actual color call outs. Because there's a huge question of what the color is, and I'm feeling like things are getting pretty far off track with what the comprehensive plan is intending for the look of the businesses, and I know this is downtown, but in Cannon Beach.
Dave, don't you have a question for someone about whether the application can be split?
Well, that's what we talked about earlier.
So we're looking for an answer to that question. So a continuance might be
Yeah,
in order, just for what, a week?
consider the colors, further identification of the colors. And a response to my question about splitting the sign application into 2 parts.
I'll answer it the same way next time as I did this evening.
You would, but you're going to get some feedback from an attorney, perhaps?
Perhaps.
Attorney? And we ask for that?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. So are you moving to continue it?
Yeah,
What do you think about the reduction of the sign or on Hemlock?
that's, I mean, if it's the hot or slash Dayglow orange, yes, but I don't have a problem with
Where
it.
it says in the code, so I can
I
understand.
think it is a frontage. Because it's on the main street, and then those are 2 main streets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have it with me, definition of frontage.
I mean, it's pretty front leaning of a business. I mean,
So Robert, you're saying that on the number of freestanding signs, you can have 1 for each frontage.
That is how the code reads, yes.
Is the code quite clear on that?
The code says 1 per frontage. It says no more than 1 freestanding sign per frontage. That reads that you may have 1 freestanding sign per frontage.
Okay, so if you had a whole lot, you would have 4 frontages, and you could have.
And if you were in a lot that had 4 streets on all 4 sides, yes, you would have 4 frontages.
I mean, their parking lot's probably technically a frontage too, so
And
let's give them another one.
Michelle, you're more.
Do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big, I mean, especially now that he was saying that those are the same colors. I mean, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, and I feel like it's like things are going kind of off base and, so. I will,
May I interject?
oh, please. Oh, sorry, that's Dave's job. I'm flustered from being. Can you let him come up?
To a certain degree, the color, we're discussing is their logo colors.
Mhm.
It's not day glow. It's a super bright orange. It's navy blue. So if you're concerned with the blue, there's no concern. It's not even as bright as the flag there.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
I mean, it's navy blue. Not even as bright as that. So you're good.
Yeah.
The orange. Maybe, I mean, it's gotta remain orange in
Yeah, I get
order for it to be their logo. And so we could maybe go a little more of a burnt orange, but it still needs to be orange. As it is, it's not day glow, fluorescent or reflective or anything of that nature. So, yeah.
Yes.
So I understand your concern, but, you know, I'm sure we're fine, but, you know, it is, so. You know, I hate to delay, they've been in there already and are trying to get their, you know, signs,
Yeah.
so they know it's not Miska's anymore, so.
Yeah.
I know they'd appreciate the getting it through so they can get their signs done. But, I mean, you can,
I've hardened my heart for the hurry up because we've gotten a lot of signs. We've been pushed through for a lot of signs that, oh my gosh, they need it, or they already did it, so.
I guess, since that's relative of how quick something is.
Yeah.
They've been in there since November. So,
Yeah.
You know, so anyway, I just like to, you know, interject that.
Yeah.
And the blue, and I don't think you need to be concerned about in this.
It's just such a bummer because we just don't know, like, I mean, you're saying it, I believe you, but,
Without saying more,
yeah,
I know we don't want day glow and fluorescent and all that, and, you know, things are designed around that, but in this instance, it's their logo, you know, House of Orange.
yeah,
But it's not day glow for sure, or fluorescent. So I think we'd be okay with that. Anyway,
okay,
To me, the redundant sign would be one of the two on the Sunset side, where you've got a freestanding sign and 20 feet away, you've got a building, big building sign.
Yep.
Both facing same direction. Would there be a way to maybe get rid of the building sign and just have the two freestanding signs?
It's another option. I think that sign takes away from their display window.
I think so too, but I mean, but it's not.
Well, we need some direction here on what we're thinking about doing, or so we can get on to the next application and then
Well,
anything else.
I guess I don't
Continuing.
want to continue it. We should do something with it tonight.
Okay, all right.
We have the applicant assuring us that it will be navy blue.
I think we could approve it with
We kind of went through this with the other Brothers Bar thing and
softening the orange color and I personally would like to see the building mounted sign go away, but
How do we do that?
Miska has a sign there.
They
Is
meet,
that correct?
yeah.
again, according to Robert, they meet the square footage
Yeah.
specification.
So I think with the provision of softening the orange, they meet all the requirements of the code.
I have to ask a question. With I'm sorry, you mentioned Harvey, what was the term again? I'm not familiar with it.
Pantone.
Pantone, I'm sorry.
Is there a specific like color that we can speak to that if staff got if there was a willingness to work with the applicant right now on a specific Pantone, that he could then provide a sample of that to staff to verify it that way? Would that be a way of approving it to make sure that you got the colors that you expect?
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. But I mean, I don't assume you guys don't have a Pantone book here, but
No, I didn't know offhand if there was something specific.
If we were prepared to do that, yeah, but I could do it. I have the app on my phone, but as, you know, no phone looks like the other one.
Right.
And so I think without a Pantone book, it would be difficult.
Okay.
Seems like with the applicant's assurance. Well, and that he'll.
Yeah, I mean,
it's gonna be
he's
Navy.
saying navy and he's gonna make, like, not make it so bright.
Yeah, and
Okay.
Navy's hard to argue with.
Yeah, no, yeah, I mean, it does look like, like, when I was looking at the Pantone color, it's a really, really hot, AKA day glow, color.
In the
And
app-
when I was matching it on my
In the
monitor,
application, it looks really bright.
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, eh. So, yeah, everybody else,
Procedural question, is it appropriate for me as a chair to make a motion or not?
I think with, it's probably, I don't,
Are we using this standard Robert's Rules of Order?
typically, we're using Roberts and usually it's someone else who's making the motion.
And
Emily, do you know?
yeah, there is a new, very truncated, seldom used version of Robert's Rules where the chair can make the motion, but in the formal Robert's Rules, the chair cannot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for the most part, we're trying to follow, you know, kind of the formal as much as possible. I'm not saying that, but that's typically what we're following.
Yeah, I think the open meetings law defines that.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
anyone?
I would move that we accept this.
yeah.
Uh,
Well, I mean, talking,
With the assurances we have from the applicant and from Robert.
Want to quantify what those assurances are?
well, yeah, that's,
That will have navy blue. And then it's the signage is entirely within the size and number of signs are entirely within the code.
and a muted orange. And a muted
And a
orange.
muted orange.
Yeah,
Kind of like that burnt or,
yeah, just a, yeah,
okay,
yeah, it's muted, burnt, whatever.
Okay.
You know, I think you know what I'm saying, right? Like,
Okay, any?
sorry, I joined in on the motion. Maybe.
I agree. I agree to that. A muted orange, a navy blue, and and the size and number of signs meets the code.
Okay, any second?
I'll second. If I help.
Those in-
And sorry.
those in
Yeah,
favor?
aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay,
I'd like to, in the future, maybe that you guys think about
yeah,
giving us color.
Okay.
I mean, I know that it's material, whatever, but like it's,
like a swatch or something, or
Yeah, and then-
something that's a little bit more specific in terms of calling out like
yeah,
Sherman Williams, such and
that's
such.
exactly what the surf sands did, and it was
Okay.
great. And then
Sounds good.
like,
All right,
okay,
we can try to get that to you.
DRB 2313. Non-hearing consideration of freestanding sign at 188 South Hemlock Street. Staff report?
Thank you. The applicant requests design review approval for the replacement of existing freestanding signage in the limited commercial C1 zone at 188 South Hemlock Street. The location of the requested signage is an existing standalone commercial building. As per the revised application included in Exhibit A2, the requested signage will face South Hemlock Street and be 57 by 40 inches. The original application, Exhibit A1, placed the freestanding sign at a different location on the South Hemlock Street frontage. Also, the design of the signage has changed between the original and revised applications. The application included a building mounted sign. We've covered this concept. As building mounted signage is not covered by design review board, that was administratively approved. Moving into the approval criteria. For 1756, which is the municipal code for signage, I'm in 030A1, regulations generally for the sign area. The area of the proposed freestanding sign measures 57 by 40 inches or approximately 15.8 square feet. The sign will be one-sided and is not enclosed in a frame or cabinet. Total square footage of freestanding signage will be less than 24 square feet. Moving into 030B regulations generally for the height of signs. Based on the application materials, the maximum height of the freestanding sign will not exceed 6 feet above the existing grade. The maximum height that it can exceed above the existing grade is 16 feet. Moving into 030F, regulations generally for sign lettering. The application materials state that the largest letter will be 11 inches. 030J2, regulations generally materials. The revised application materials state that the sign will be constructed from 1 3/4 inch cedar wood panel or a 3/4 inch MDO plywood panel. It will be painted brown with a lighter brown border, light coloring, and a blue fish logo. The proposed signage does not use alternative materials such as plastic or make use of restricted colors. Moving into 040A1A, regulations for the base zone, C1, C2, and RM zone signage. According to the Clatsop County Assessor's records, the structure at 188 South Hemlock Street has an eastern facade of 54 feet and a southern facade of 32 feet. This allows for a maximum sign area of 36 square feet, with 24 of them applying to freestanding signage. The total sign area, including approximately 13.5 square foot sign that was administratively approved through separate review, would be approximately 29 square feet. Excuse me. For 1756-040 regulations base zone for freestanding signs. The proposed signage will be the only freestanding sign on the South Hemlock Street frontage. No other freestanding sign is proposed. And that concludes the staff report.
Thank you. So I'm a little, excuse me. I'm a little confused by two separate submittals.
The first submittal was replaced
Okay,
by the second submittal. The original submittal included was for a kind of light colored whitish sign that would use orange lettering with a blue fish logo. The revised sign is for a brown colored sign with light kind of beige or tan lettering and a blue fish logo. And this is something that the applicant who is here tonight can speak to as well.
okay, so the white sign is not part of the deal anymore.
That is correct.
Wish it had not appeared in the package. Okay,
As it was the original application, it had to be included.
thank you. All right. Any comments from the gallery?
I like those colors.
Uh,
I said, I like those colors.
Well, any problems? Harvey?
And, I want to make sure I'm looking at the right sign. It's the darker background with the lighter colored.
This one.
Yes. There's a huge difference in color from the printed versus, for instance, my monitor. Wow. Okay.
Correct. The sign you should be looking at is this one.
Yep. And it's sitting at the same place, the existing EBU sign.
Correct.
It is the same one, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion.
What'd you say?
We have a motion.
I make a motion to approve the sign as it is.
As is. Okay. Second,
I'll second the motion.
okay, all opposed are all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All righty. Moving right along. We need a motion for the chair to sign appropriate orders. Anyone?
What are we doing?
A motion for chair to sign the appropriate orders.
Oh. We've never done that before.
No,
No,
Yeah.
every application requires them to sign orders.
gotcha.
So even these administrative ones, we would have to have orders.
Sounds good. Okay.
So we're making a motion for the chair to sign.
For the signs.
Yes, okay, I make a motion for the chair to sign the approved thingies.
Second.
Those in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? Done. Discussion items. I think we already discussed whether the sign package should be split into two parts, and hopefully by our next meeting, you will have that answer.
Yes.
Any other discussions? Anything for good of the order?
Well, what if we had an agenda? Oh,
Speak up.
I'll go
Yeah.
back for you.
this should be short, but I was just wondering about if we needed a motion or how to have a agenda item for pending applications that maybe we could see when you get an application and we could say that color, can you know, by the time it comes to a DRB meeting, just so that yeah, we're not fumbling.
You're asking to see the application earlier?
Well, I guess, you know, just to have it on the agenda, you know, if there's any pending applications that you're waiting, you know, for more information or something, just so that we know that, well, you're gonna have some sign applications coming up for blah, blah, blah.
Sounds good. Oftentimes our deadlines for submittals are after the meetings, so we don't always know. But if there's maybe things that we know ahead of time, like, hey, we know this is coming in, we can just give you a heads up
Yeah.
or something.
Then you could get to the applicant and say, you know, preview from the DRB, they're wondering about this color. So come to the meeting.
That's good. I think, and this is helpful to me to understand some of these color issues and things like that. And maybe there's an ability to start getting a little bit more specific, the firm and the color that's proposed to have there, but,
Well, the intent code, I think, is more important than anything as well. Anyway, anyone else have anything?
Any applicants for the vacancy?
I can't remember if there's, that,
Wants to do this.
yeah, that is, I don't have anything to report. I'll check back on that. I know last time we had talked about re-advertising and putting it back out there. So, I thought there was some hope for someone that we had heard, but I don't have anything formal yet.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't know, I just keep going back to the comprehensive plan and it feels like, I mean, I don't know, I wish I was gonna bring cookies to have this conversation because I thought it was tomorrow, but it feels like there's like, looked at as kind of like a speed bump for city staff. And it doesn't feel like, I mean, just for me, I mean, I'm assuming that's how everybody kind of feels. And I'm going back to the comprehensive plan where it says, number 1, in the general development policies, the design review board shall evaluate all development other than single family dwellings within the city to ensure to keep the design criteria of zoning ordinance and is compatible with the surrounding development. And then number 3 is commercial uses that detract from the unique character of downtown are all detrimental to the small town atmosphere of Cannon Beach shall be prohibited. So I feel like it's like there's just like with like color, what we're talking, it's like, oh, just not figuring out, I'm trying to think of it. it's not coming to us when we're supposed to be doing this. And it's just like, well, it doesn't really, it hits the code just fine, but I feel like we're just the speed bump, and it's almost like people keep asking me like, why is the DRB there? And I'm kind of almost asking myself that. So I don't know, like, I feel like coming here, I feel like I'm a hindrance to staff when I want to like work together. And I guess I'm trying to have a kumbaya moment. So,
Sounds good.
yeah.
Can he
Oh.
raise?
good.
Might be able to shed some light on.
Back there by the tree, we don't see you.
I feel like you've done a great job representing us, Steve. I just wanted to say that. I felt really heard during the.
And I get what you're saying, and, you know, we've tried to meet with people, we're trying to be open. Some of the stuff is hard. There's some things that, you know, I'm still learning. The colors, comments are good comments and feedback, and some things we can bring back to you. So, obviously, a lot of the times are difficult discussions.
Yeah.
You know?
But and I really do earnestly feel like I felt really represented by you with
Sure.
the whole school project. I really think you did a great job, in my opinion, but it just feels like we're this like big speed bump and we're just here to like make your jobs harder. And I don't know, I'm trying to like not feel like that and
Sure.
not make you feel like that. It's just, God,
Sounds good.
no wonder I forgot I was too late.
Stop being a speed bump and become a barrier.
There you go. There you go. All right. You ask a good question, because the reason that we're doing the code audit was we kind of had a blinding flash of the obvious moment with the meeting with the design review board, planning commission, city council, and everybody was talking about the comprehensive plan. And it's like, the comprehensive plan is an amazing document, but it has to be supported by the code. And we looked at so many different situations where it wasn't supported by the code. And so that's why we're doing the code audit. That's the main reason the code audit is coming. And so the comprehensive plan is a guide. The code is the law. And if there's not, that's what we follow with it. And you can't go back and say, well, the comprehensive plan says this, if the code is silent on it.
Yeah, I think we all understand that.
Okay, well, I mean, that was the way I understood your question was you were going to the.
Well, I was just prefacing it by saying that it just feels like we're a speed bump. I'm just saying the comprehensive plan I think it is a beautiful document.
Yeah.
It's really, and I'm just like trying to like say, hey, this is kind of why we're all here.
There's a
I mean, I don't know why you guys are here, but I feel like this is why the volunteers are here. Like, I don't know, like, but
that disconnect has not been fixed yet.
yeah.
Take-
I mean, I came in to when Jeff was here over and over again, like,
Yeah.
why am I even doing this? But I mean, I'm into the code audit, love it. Like, I mean, but it does, I mean, does anybody want to back me up here? I don't know. It's like,
Well,
you don't have to.
I feel that frustration of just, what is the purpose of the design review board? We don't really have any recourse in the sign application for colors or materials that are being decided and getting approved by staff before, the design review board can say, oh, well, I'm not sure that really meets code. So let's get it before the committee. And that's where having it on the agenda, if you have an application coming up, we could look and give some, feedback, how to get it approved.
That's exactly the kind of thing that we hope will come up when you have those meetings with the planning commission and others. So you bring up where you feel the code is not helping you to accomplish what's in the comprehensive plan. That's excellent feedback.
Well, or just even with staff's interpretation of what they think, because obviously there's some disagreement from the committee here and staff in what they think they can just approve. And I'm hearing the design review board members say that, well, we would have liked to take a closer look at that.
Right.
For these reasons.
I mean, what I understand is before, like Ryanmar was he on DRB or was he city planner? And it was, yeah, planner. And it was like DRB was respected and and now it's just, in the way. So
Well, and plus we're just volunteering and all new and we don't know, and are looking for guidance and support and I don't feel that, so that it helps me in these meetings, know what to say for a motion, to know what to look at for the criteria, to know what we're, hoping to approve, how to go about if we do have questions. I'm not feeling that we're getting that support or training. So I don't know if there's a manual that could be, read by.
go on a retreat.
But something to help.
Okay, let me think about that, because that's a fair comment.
Well,
And
want to represent the city, but
Sure. It's one of the things that when somebody comes on a board, especially like if you have three members that have been on for 5 years and then one new person, you just assume that the new person has the same background and everything as what everybody else does.
mhm,
And that's a mistake. And those of you that have been on for a while, and I think probably Dave, you would be the one that we're trying to do more of those training sessions if they're after January, when we get new boards, when we get new councils, that kind of thing. And that was because we recognize that, we're not really helping these folks by assuming that they know everything that needs to be known. So if we can
In
help,
our case, it's kind of the reverse. We've got me, who's been on the thing for, I think it's 6 years. And three relatively new.
I've been on for almost 2 years and I still I don't know how to make a motion or I'm guessing.
But this year, 2023 has been kind of unique in my experience. I don't recall ever having the kind of projects that have come up this year in the previous 5 years. So I'm learning too.
one of the things that was part of that discussion is that we're at a point where things are changing in Cannon Beach, in that up until recently, we've had properties that were readily developable. And then we started to get less of those. And then all of a sudden we're having things like, and I forgot what the name, Roberts, trying to go ahead and build in a very steep hill. Well, the easy lots are kind of gone. And we did take one step at the very beginning of this process, and that was to say that you can't come in and knock down 2 existing houses to get yourself a big lot. You can take down 1, but you can't take down 2. And so we're trying to address those kind of things where somebody could make themselves a lot by just, tearing down a historical cottage or, a home that had been here for a long time. So some of the problems have been recognized, and we were able to take care of those right at the very beginning. But we're having some time, there's been a lot added to the scope with what we're trying to do with the code audit. And I think we'll get that back on track. And but there have been changes, and I think that Dave's right. It's a different type of construction things, that's coming along as a result of the changes in the loss of buildable lots, the reduction in buildable lots. So, if folks want, I can go over the 6 items that we talked about at the last meeting. Want? thing. We agreed on 11 by 17.
Yes.
Okay. And then findings of fact, wanted to have a meeting as soon after the findings of fact. At a meeting, finding of facts are set, I'm sorry. The decision is made, then findings of fact are provided. And there was discussion about even noticing possibly 2 meetings so that there would be a meeting that was close after to approve the findings of fact. And do I have that right, Harvey? Because I think it was yours.
Do we need a meeting for that, or can we just?
No, you'll need, well, I don't know if you need a meeting, because in the past, the chair has been willing to, to sign,
Yeah,
findings.
and
So it can happen either way.
for most things, I don't think we have a problem with me just signing them, but anything that has any kind of a controversial nature, or it's not a straight, we just approved it. And I want to get a input from the rest of the group.
Sure.
You could have a telephonic meeting, right?
Can we do that by email, or?
Depends, because you can't, if you're doing it and it's quasi judicial, you have to have the meeting. You can possibly be on Zoom, some of you, but you still have to have the meeting to keep the record clear. But I think that it's possible, like suppose, I'll just use the signs as an example, and if it was a bigger case than what it was, that if you wanted to have findings on something, then either you could make a decision on who's going to do the findings. Is it going to be somebody from the board, or is it going to be staff or the attorney? And then say, how long will it take to get those done? And if it'll be a week, you can make a motion to have a meeting in a week to consider the findings. So we don't necessarily have to advertise both of those meetings, but you need to make sure you allow enough time for whoever's going to work on the findings, or if it's a situation that we're going to have Michelle work with staff to put together the findings for a particular meeting. They have to decide how long it's going to take, and then you can go ahead and set that meeting. I'm a little leery if it's done on the phone and things like that, because especially in quasi judicial, you want anybody that has an interest to be noticed that a certain thing is happening. And so that's why just saying we'll have a meeting based on this time frame, you can do that. Okay. I think let's see.
So in place of the motion to approve the chair signing the orders, we would have a motion to have a meeting to approve.
To consider the findings. You wouldn't want to say you're going to approve them before you see them, but to consider the findings.
Okay, so
Yeah, it'd be something to the effect of whether it's staff or the board to draft the findings and bring those back to the board for consideration.
That's your call. Okay.
I don't think we need to do that for what we did tonight, but
No, I was just using that as an
Yeah.
example, knowing that you didn't have to do it.
for anything, particularly for major projects,
Sure.
I think that would be a good idea.
But it's,
And you'll probably have a feel for exactly which ones
Yeah,
you're gonna want to do that with.
right.
right.
And we can talk about that too if during the meeting.
You can control the time frame once you know how long it's going to take to produce the findings.
Okay,
Okay.
That phrase, findings of fact, the last meeting, that's the first time I've heard that.
Okay.
That's how much I don't know about bureaucracy,
Sure.
hence you just hearing Pantone.
Yeah.
And I've known that since I was like 12.
Yeah, right.
It's like,
Terminology is.
yeah, it's just
Right.
like,
We all learn from each other.
I never heard of it before.
I know when he was talking about it, and I was like, what is findings of fact? I don't know what that is.
Okay, next.
I want to go back to conditional approvals, because I got to read to make sure I understand the question. Review meetings is something that you were talking about, and say it's a big project that the city is doing, and can you be involved with review, I'm sorry. That's the public projects. On review meetings, can you meet with somebody that is going to be proposing a project before they actually come forward with an application? And you can, but you need to be careful because if it's going to end up being quasi judicial, you're going to have to say, I was involved with this meeting where this was discussed. That kind of thing is, with when you're talking about, did you have any conversations with anybody? Did you do a site visit? Well, yes, I was also involved with this particular type of a meeting. And it's whether or not somebody would be willing to come in, because we will not have received an application yet. So that somebody, may not be willing to come in and undertake that particular process. If they've already got the application in, then you're going to go ahead and have your set of meetings as you normally would. On the public projects, that's a question, that you can possibly bring up during one of the code audit meetings or something when you're sitting down with the council, or you can have a special meeting or ask for a meeting to talk to the council to say, we would like to be more involved on the public projects earlier than at the time that an application is complete. That's not something that staff can make happen, and it's got to be something that the council, who's ultimately the owner, would be saying, yes, we'll do that with the process. Harvey, you look like I gave you the indigestion. I'm sorry. Okay.
Just on, are you moving beyond public projects right now?
No, we'll stay there.
On public projects, it's really a conundrum because it's really the city council's project. And so if it gets appealed, it's really the city council appealing it. And you can say it's the architect, but it's really the city council appealing it. So, and we work for the city council, their eyes and ears. In the case where they've reviewed some project numerous times, it seemed like it'd be more appropriate for us to waive jurisdiction and volunteer to participate with them and contribute in any way they may desire, but it really doesn't belong in our bailiwick. It's the city council. They're our boss anyway. The city council is in charge, and it's their project. So I think, even when I first heard of the school project, I thought, wow, we should waive jurisdiction. The city council should know how to enforce our criteria just as well as we would. They're in charge, they're responsible for the criteria. So it doesn't seem like design review board belongs there, and we wind up in an adversarial position. Or we should never be in an adversarial position with our city council. And so it just seems like there has to be some way to stop that circle that just we really, we have two more projects coming up, and no matter how minor the finding we have that where we reject even a part of it, it's going to be appealed, and the city council then will have to deal with it. And once again, to the citizens, it'll appear that the city council and design review boards are just at loggerheads with each other all the time. And it doesn't, that's not a good place for the citizens to be. Even the school project, people who oppose it thought we were heroes. And all we did was ask for 3 simple changes. It wasn't like we didn't deny it on its face. We denied it for a few details that we thought would improve the project and be additive. But somehow that didn't get to them. That the message didn't get to the public. So there's got to be a way to fix that up and stop this cycle we're in.
Yeah, and I think again, the forum would be the code audit. For you to have that conversation with council, or if you at different times, boards have asked for meetings with the council just to get guidance to go ahead and make comment. It happens with the PAC. Yeah, the Tourism and Arts Commission. They will have a meeting with the council once they've kind of made their recommendations. And so it's maybe we managed to fill the dais. But and then it's a joint meeting working through those kind of things. So it's something that could be done for you to have the conversations. It was interesting when Michelle was talking, I hearkened back to how did all this get started with the thing? And it was that there was not a match with what people saw in the comp plan and what the code says. So we're recognizing that there's things in the code that we can do better. Okay, seating arrangements is the same discussion that we had. We can do what we're doing up here. We have to make sure that you speak loudly. Because part of the quasi judicial is that people know and understand what people are saying, they're making the decision. And people, when you're at you probably, when you speak tonight, you're probably speaking more loudly than you would speak at the dining room table. And that's kind of what happens up here is it gets very quiet. And so it's just making sure that you speak loudly if we're going to be going ahead and doing that. And staff will have to work on making sure that if you are looking at page 10 and y'all are kind of crowded over it, we really don't have a way to get a picture of that, but that we make sure that page 10 is up there.
I don't particularly want to do that. I know you brought it up, but I don't make a motion to that. I'm joking. It's like, I don't particularly want to do that.
I'm not sure I see a reason for it either.
And that was just Harvey's, it was one person.
I was thinking of ways that we could make the process more of a design review and be more facilitative. And if it takes moving mics around, then so be it. And then my thought was before we actually made any decisions, we would convene back here to the DIOS and go back to the normal functioning.
I think I'll be doing exactly what I'm doing now and looking at my pad and then just sitting at a table.
Just, I've done so many construction projects and it's so much more cohesive to gather around the table together.
Mhm.
It works so much better.
Yeah.
And just in general, I spoke to someone from the state that it handles planning in general, and they said that design review doesn't have to be quasi judicial. And I'm wondering if there aren't some code changes we can make so we're totally facilitative. We work from the beginning with the applicant, and we rarely have to deny anything because we've trained them on what's important in Cannon Beach's criteria, and we wind up with much better solutions than this quasi judicial. I mean, we aren't allowed to speak to anyone outside of this meeting, the way it's being interpreted. Well, that's no way to review projects or to facilitate them.
Correct, but you're absolutely correct. What happens though is that there are things that are in the land use code, that is in the city's land use code, and if they're in the land use code, then they are treated a certain way by the state. And that's where we get into the quasi judicial and things, because not all of your meetings, not all of your cases are quasi judicial. But if it's in the land use code, it would be. And again, those are things, I think that there's some flexibility on the part of the city with how the DRB functions. I don't know if it's something that, we either, if you wanted to go or wanted to recommend going in that direction, something saying, well, can we take this out of the land use code or something like that, or say that the DRB won't handle things that are in the land use code or won't handle it quasi judicial. There probably are solutions to that particular dilemma. It's just the way that we're set up. we're kind of locked in.
Yeah, as I understand it, planning commissions do fall under the state law.
Yeah.
Design review boards are more, however, the local, people decide to establish them.
Right. But I think that because of our land use code, that may push you over that way, but I don't know that for sure.
So it'd be great if in the code audit, we could come up with some way to ease that.
Yeah. And it might make some sense for, if there's you guys, your meetings are getting pretty busy. If you have a meeting that is going to be relatively short, just to make a list of the kind of things, like that we're talking about here. But even with the list that Harvey put together, when we're talking about seating arrangements, it kind of goes to another place, which is quasi judicial. And so having this conversation to go ahead and make that sort of a list, I think that would be helpful if we're sitting down with the council. Because as I understand it, there is flexibility. I don't think there's a requirement for the city to have a design review board, but if you do, it might kick into some things in particular.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's another way to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of wedged ourselves in doing it for so long that it was like, can't do it any other way. Let me just reread the conditional approval because I have some notes on it. No, that's the one that we talked about, that if you have the findings, or if you make a decision, then you find out how long it's going to take for whoever's going to do the findings, set a meeting for right after that. And I think that solves the one that we're calling conditional approvals, which is the third item down. Does that make sense? Because I think it did the same thing with findings of fact. It's kind of the two are tied together.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Thank you for coming up with this stuff. I look forward that if you folks go and you're on your own to go ahead and set something up with your thoughts and then meet with the council. Because these are the kind of things that we hopefully can fix and do fix.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Good.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Anybody else? Chad, do you have anything tonight?
Well, one thing I was going to ask, and I didn't have here or the council meeting, but I know when Anita took over for you, Dave, that one meeting, she very nicely asked if there was any public comment at the beginning of the meeting. And I thought it would be wonderful if we could have that opportunity for public comment at the beginning of every meeting, like we do at the council meeting. And I'd also like to ask for that with the planning commission. So that's the one thing I would like to just put it out there and see what you guys think, and maybe see if we can get that happening.
Is there any reason we wouldn't be able to do that?
I can look in and see what's, I don't know right offhand. I can check into that.
We'll check into it. The only caveat I think that would be out there is that the chair would say, if anybody has comment on anything not on tonight's agenda.
Yeah.
And then you could go ahead and talk about that stuff, and then they would come up and talk during the agenda item if they do have that.
Okay,
Thank you.
Oh, good. Good to know.
you could fit that into this cheat sheet somehow, Emily. Okay, thank you. Anyone else?